So we've reset the system date. We're on page A-3, and the numbers 2 says to click on the general ledger, and these are our tabs up here, and select the chart of accounts. All they're asking us to do here is just to review the chart of accounts. Can anybody remind me what a chart of accounts is? That's a great description. It's all the different accounts that this particular company uses. Okay, so, and it's a chart of accounts are always in the same order: assets, liabilities, equity, revenues, and expenses. So check off number 2. All they're asking us to do is to review this. Number 3, we're going to change the employee 180 to be us. So I'm just following the instructions. So it's telling me click on the top bar payroll tab and then go to maintain employees. So just follow the instructions. And you're going to change employee 180. These screens are little, so I always maximize them as much as I can. And if I come down, it's called student, and I click on that. I'm going to go ahead and enter my name and do it just like they've got it here, all caps, last name, comma, first name. So go ahead and just finish, follow the instructions, and do not accept any of the other fields. Tab out, click close, and then we're on step number 4. Make sure to record your change, because that accepts you for who you are. And then go ahead and read that paragraph of intro, please, for item number 4. What do you have?
Well, I mean, the only thing I have to do is just to quickly to restart it and to reapply it. Then it's just a matter of waiting to write down. No? Okay.
I can go on once I get everybody going and look and see if there's anything strange in her account from my standpoint. So number 4 is where we're actually paying the payroll. And one of the things to be cognizant of here is if you look down the list of 12 employees, how many of them are paid hourly?
3.
Just 3 of them. So when you go in, you're going to see when you enter the payroll that there's 2 different columns, one for salaried and one for hourly. So it's telling us here we're going to enter the payroll records. So we're going to click on pay employees, and I'm just going to go ahead and do exactly what it tells me to do. When I click on pay employees, the field comes up to add my employees. So the prior quarter's data is already there. The first thing I have to do, I'm just following the instructions here. Number A, click on the deductions box. So you're just following the instructions here down on A. The prior quarter, don't ever go back into prior quarter. Click on the deductions box. That's down here. And it's going to indicate what do I want to have withheld in this pay period. And I think it tells us on the next page, A-4, the only thing that's coming out of this payroll is union dues. Before you shut that, let's make sure you understand what these 3 items are. So group insurance is paying into, this is our health insurance premiums. Union dues are union dues. And then that last one, does anyone know what a simple plan is? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a 401k for small companies. You can only have them if you have less than 100 employees, and it's a lot cheaper to administer, and it requires an employer match. So this company, that's their 401k. It's called their Simple Plan. So for this payroll, I'm only having union dues taken out. So now we can hit OK and check off item A. Now we're on item B, page A-4. You'll need to add a new record to this payroll for each employee to be paid. Click on the Add button to add a new pay record. So I'm going to go down on the bottom left, click on Add. And it should be defaulted to the date. Yeah, it's October 9th. That's great. And then just tab between the fields. And we're between two pages, but basically what you're going to do now is go to page A-3 and you're going to enter those 10 employees. And you can just key in B for the first name of his last name is Bono. So put in a B. And since there's only one person with B for a last name, it defaults to him. And then just tab between the fields. So is he salaried or hourly? Hourly. So go over to the hours. And it looks like he worked 80 hours. So then just tab all the way over. The only other thing we have to enter for him, I think, is his union dues.
You want to enter the check number?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, 672. Can we not get over to the... yet another treat in the software. Oh, here, you've got a bottom scroll bar. So $8. Okay, so everybody should have, and the only things you entered was to make sure the date's 10/9, B for Bono, check 672, 80 in the hours, and $8 in the union dues. What's critical here now is to get to the next person, you have to hit 2 clicks. Calculate taxes and add.
I think it's just shut down.
So hit calculate taxes and add, and it'll throw you, just a sec. I'm going to get everybody going on entering these. So calculate taxes. And what happened when you hit calculate taxes is it fills in all your FIT, CIT, Social Security, everything does that. And then when you hit add, it's going to pop you down to the next line. So the next person we're going to put in 2 people, and then I'm going to let you just enter and I'll walk around. The next person is Ferguson. So I can either just put an F for Ferguson or take the drop down. But what happens with Ferguson is because he's salaried, it's just going to default to that. So all you've got to do is tab over to the salary field and hit calculate taxes and add. Okay, so do you not have the hard copy of the book, or do you
No,
sure?
okay.
So it's probably going to be way easier to use a hard copy.
Yeah. I didn't have a hard copy.
Right, but I'm saying you can use this as long as I can just access it
Oh.
over here. There. So did you do this where you changed yourself to 180?
Yep.
So now you're just entering people? Yeah.
When you got to that, how did you get to that part from the screen?
So shut down did you get 180 then?
Yeah, but I mean,
Okay, so let's shut this guy down. And then we're just paying employees.
Okay, paid, that's got
But make sure to get 10/9 up in the big.
All right.
So, did you grab me? No. And I tried to.
see anything, otherwise we're just gonna put in a live, chat request right now. Okay. Yeah, figure out the outcome. That's okay. Okay, great. Anybody have questions back here? Yeah, so the easiest way to move through is just with your tab. Okay, once, I have to read over your shoulder here. No, you're fine. You need this data. So once you get through number 4, number 5 asks us to do what? So okay, check that off with your pencil. So you've done all that. So number 5 asks us to do what? That, honestly, I don't know how I would do that. I know who my employees are. I just entered data for them. So just check off number 5. I don't know. Okay, now I'm at number 6. Now we're getting to the part, let me just get your attention real quick. Now we're getting to the part we don't need input, and the computer's going to take over. We're going to review our input by looking at the payroll report, and then we're going to generate a couple journal entries that it's going to auto-create close to the general ledger. But we need to review our input. So it tells us to bring up the payroll report, follow the instructions, and do that. Mine's not going to look like yours because I've only got 2 people input, but just bear with me. So we go to, just do what it tells you, reports. Payroll report. And you've got, I've only got 2 people input, the first 2. You should have all, whatever, 11 or 12. And if you go all the way to the bottom, and again, your numbers are not going to look like mine because I only input 2 people. It's going to have the payroll summary. And let me just point out there's 3 column headings up here: current, quarterly, and year to date. Current is obviously what just happened on this payroll. Quarterly is everything that happened in this quarter, and year to date is my cumulative annual numbers. Why are current and quarterly the same in this example? First paycheck of the quarter, right? That's not going to hold true from here on in. So I believe in this one, the book gives you numbers to tie to. Yeah, so on page A-6, you should look and see if your numbers tie to their payroll report. And again, mine don't, so I only put in 2 people. And basically, if you go to net pay, and your net pay for current and quarter and year to date are same, then you're good to go. Is it all the same? Great. Now, what if it wasn't the same? And, well, let me just show you a couple things. So first off, if it wasn't the same, what would you do? You got to go back where? Yeah, where we input the payroll, right? Because you've got an input error. I can tell you 9 times out of 10, it's because you put the hours in the salary or the salary in the hours. Or you forgot to hit calculate taxes. You should be able to see that when you go back and review your input. If there's 0 in all the tax numbers, then you forgot to hit calculate taxes. So you should be able to kind of review your input. You can't move forward. Make sure you process this. You cannot move forward until your numbers equal what they're supposed to be. Okay? Because then you're just going to be posting bad numbers in the financial statements. Okay?
Let me show you where all the rest of the reports are, because the book only replicates this one. I've actually posted the solutions for the entire project for you on Moodle so that you can make sure to check your payroll every single time. Sign in. Payroll. Okay, so if you go under CLGL, there's a link, a big PDF file. You are not going to want to hit print. It's like 90 pages, which is a PD or 70 pages, a PDF to the whole project. So here is the payroll report that the book replicated, but it only does that for 10-9. All the rest of them are going to be here. So this is really where you should become familiar with coming. So you go to check your bottom numbers and they don't balance. Then you've got to figure out exactly which person you screwed up on, right? And then you've got to go back and change your input so that your payroll report ties to what's here, because you can't move forward until you do that, okay? So does anybody not have their payroll report tied to here?
This is giving us the answers, but in real life.
In real life, you're going to have to trust your ability to review. In real life, your review is primarily going to consist of comparing it to a prior period. Okay? And if something's different, how come? Well, she got fired, he got a raise, and she worked overtime. Okay, it's explicable. You had a baby, so your allowances changed. I should be able to compare it to a prior and make sure that everything looks A, reasonable, and B, if it's changed, how come? And in a big company, you're going to have multiple layers of review. So you might accumulate data on, say, the 9th of October, but you actually wouldn't cut paychecks or make the transfers until the 16th, because that's what's a series of review. Yeah, good question. Okay, so I go down here, yeah, it's all equal. All right, back to my project. So, and in the real world, I guess, although we really don't print so much anymore on paper, you would save this report digitally. This is all, and again, this is a CAN software project or program, so it's really unsophisticated. I mean, it comes quote unquote free with the book, although that's not true at all either. It's not a very sophisticated piece of software. At any rate, you can go back and access this report whenever you need to. I used to have students print everything, now I don't. So, but you check it off in your book, that was number 6? 6. Okay, 7 and 8, I believe now, because I verified that my input's correct, I'm going to go ahead and ask the computer, the program, to generate journal entries and post them to the CLGL. So, and it tells me exactly how to do that. So I'm going to, and I've got 2 of them to make. One for the actual payroll, second for the employer's payroll taxes. So you can go ahead and shut down the payroll report. And I'm going to go back to, and shut that down. And shut that down. No, I don't want to do that. So go to payroll, and down under tasks, I'm just following the instructions. It tells me, do you want to generate a current payroll journal entry? Yes, that's why I'm doing that. And then it's going to, and again, your number's not going to look like mine, but it's going to generate a journal entry. And I want to make sure that you understand what the journal entry is. One of the 2 first things is debiting. I don't need the amounts, I just need the account descriptions. What kind of accounts are those? Yeah. They're not payables. They're expense accounts. Is this for the amount of the gross or the net wages?
Then you're going to have a bunch of withholdings. Like what? What are some of the credits? SIP payable, rent payable, union dues payable. What kinds of accounts are these?
Those are what?
Anything with the word payable is by nature a what? Liability. So here's my gross wages. Here's everything I held out of your paychecks. The difference is the what? Yeah, that's the net pay, isn't it? And obviously, these guys have to equal. I didn't have to do any of that. The computer generated that journal entry for me, didn't it? And your assumption is that is correct if you verified your input on the payroll report. So go ahead and hit post and close. The minute you hit post, it close. Otherwise, that sits out there and you start overthinking it. Did I post it? Maybe I better do it a couple more times. And it will post it over and over and over, which is, again, really poor software design. Or did it auto close?
Yeah.
Oh, yay. That's new. Okay. So, and so click that off. I've generated and posted my journal entry, number whatever, 7. Number 8, basically we're going to go through the same process, but this time we're going to do the FUTA and the SUTA, the OASDI and the HI, the employer's payroll taxes. So I go, employer's payroll taxes, generate the journal entry, yep. Okay, now, what kind of account is payroll taxes? That's my debit here, right? What is it? It's an expense. It's an expense of the employers. He or she's got to pay OASDI and HI and food and SUTA, right?
So payable trick isn't applicable in this one. So it's an expense when it's the employers.
No, it's an expense when it is something that the company incurs in order to generate revenue. So these are both examples of expenses, right? Payroll taxes, utilities would be in there, rent would be in there, anything that's an employer incurs in order to generate revenue. I don't like that they don't have the word expense on it. If I was writing the chart of accounts, take all the mystery out of it, you just throw the word expense on the end. What are my credits here? Yeah, OASDI payable, HI payable, blah, 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 blah. Food and SUTA payable, right? So those are liabilities. That's something the employer has to pay. When I get, and HI is going to be up here too, and OASDI, obviously, I just write them all. When I get to the point where I'm going to pay my payables, I'm going to make my 941 deposit. What am I going to debit? I'm going to debit my payables and credit what? Cash. Good. Okay. So just to be on the same page of where we're going with all this, in these examples, or what we're doing right now, the computer's doing all the work for us, isn't it? So go ahead and post that guy. And then either auto close it or you close it. Okay, the next one, we'll have to put on our thinking caps just a little bit. So click off number 8. And now I believe we're on number 9. And I'm just going to read this to you and then we'll talk about it. So number 9, page A-7. It tells us, enter and post the October 9th general journal entry to record the deposit of cash for the total net amount owed to employees in the payroll cash account. Okay, what this is telling us, and we're going to do this on every single payroll, is it wants us to move, we've got 2 bank accounts. We've got one, and that's, I mean, lots of companies have a bunch of bank accounts for different purposes. what kind of account is cash? It's an asset, right? What kind of balance do assets have again? Debits, right? Everyone okay with me using T accounts? If you're not, tell me. It's not going to be very helpful to use a tool that you don't know. Okay. So cash has what type of balance again? A debit. Then I could very easily have other accounts, like this is my checking account, right? I've got a savings account. And this company has a payroll cash account, which is just another bank account, okay? And the only thing it's used for is to move the exact amount of the net payroll into it. Out of the cash account and into the payroll cash account. Why would they go through all that extra work of reconciling a whole other bank statement? It's a very easy tracking mechanism, and it's not as applicable anymore now that we have direct deposits and such. But in the old days, it was used as an internal control mechanism to keep people from trying to change their paychecks. Because there's only going to be exactly, what was the amount here, 12,500 or?
Yes.
What was the amount of the net payroll?
12,050.85 cents.
Okay. Where would you find that number from here forward? Because it's not going to be in your book.
General.
You would go into your payroll report or your general journal. Is everybody okay getting back into a report and verifying that number? Could you do that? Right, you go back up to reports and payroll report, go to all the way to the bottom and make sure you picked up the current column, right? That's the amount of the cash we're moving. So here is the first time where I want you to be using your physical journal I had you make in your notebook. So let's write the journal entry together. We're moving the cash. So what are we debiting again?
So we're going to take cash out of our main cash account and move it into the payroll cash account?
Yeah. And then what were we crediting on the journal entry that the computer made for us? For the net pay. What did we credit for the net pay? What did the computer, when it generated? So do you know how to see that?
No.
If you go to your journal entries on page A-6, it credited account number 12, didn't it? Payroll cash. Okay. So what I'm saying is that in the T account right now called payroll cash, and that has a balance of what again? Debit or credit? Debit. It's got a credit balance in it, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
So what are we trying to do now? We're trying to move money out of our cash account and into this account, and then it's going to be exactly down to 0 as we enter the next transaction cycle, right? So can you please write your journal entry, and then we'll go post it. I think we also have like a number in here too, don't we, an account number?
Is the regular checking just going to be cash?
Yeah, it's just called cash. What is it, 1250.85? So I'm going to just follow the instructions. I think it tells me to add a new entry. And I'm going to tab over, and the reference is just GJ for General Journal. Tab.
I'm going to insert a debit or a credit. And here's my chart of accounts icon, so I can just click on that. It's going to give me the account numbers. Payroll cash, okay. And then when you tab over, it enters the whole name for you. And again, my numbers are not going to be the same as yours because I only had 2 people put in.
How do I go to add a new entry if I already like closed out of that?
I think you can just go back under general ledger and add journal entry. General. So, yeah, you can get to that from general ledger and tasks, add journal entry. So let me just show you, you've got to actually tab off of this line and make sure that this little box down here that says proof equals 0. That means your debits equal your credits. Then you can post and okay and close it. And you have done item number 9. Now, here's the key. In 10 and 11, we've verified that everything that we thought happened, happened. So bring up your general journal report. Does anybody need help making that journal entry in the computer?
Yeah.
Bring up number 10. It tells you to go get your general journal report. And we're going to review. Okay, so it goes down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Tab, okay, tab 10. And tab. And then the proof is 0. Sure. So is everybody able to bring up their general journal report? Yeah. I think it's one of those. You bet. Okay, so your general journal should show how many journal entries. How many have been made? 3, right? The first 2 the computer made, and then we made ours. This is just a review mechanism. You've already done the work. Now, the last thing I want you to do is pull up, the last thing that it asks you to do is number 11, display the general ledger report. Pull up your general ledger and tell me what balance do you expect to see in your payroll cash account? 0. Verify that. You should expect to see the net pay come out of the regular cash account. Verify that. Okay, if everything looks great, which it should, you can click off number 12. Number 13, I don't think you need to worry about. That's a, what is that again? Oh, that's that labor distribution graph. That just shows like what percentage after which, forget, that's okay, don't worry about that. Click that off. And then it tells me, am I ready to check my work? Are you ready to check your work? Go down to the bottom left if you are, give it a click. Mine has come out with like, you know, an 8% or something because I'm missing inputting a whole bunch of people. 8, if you're, now I think I'm on step number what? 13,
and 14. So check my work, and then if you're comfortable, submit it. Yes, sir. Oh, gotcha, okay. So we need to go back into the journal entry and correct it. Or did you do it? You did it under payroll, or no, I'm sorry, general ledger. Yeah. 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 So you're just gonna go back into the entry that you made. Yeah. Yeah, and the way you were just seeing that, you're with that, still number 10. Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go. I think that's why I pushed on zero.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
That's right, because I did do it down as a
Yeah.
zero.
Okay, now let's suppose. Oh, good, yeah. Okay, and let's make sure it didn't post twice. So now go into your general ledger. So did everybody get their work submitted? Yay. Okay,
Now,
good. Well, I hand out the test times of, oh, jeez. When you come in on Wednesday, I want you to go into 1023. And one of the first things it asks you to do is to make a general journal entry to deposit SIT. I want you to write that down on your journal, and we'll start there on Wednesday. Hang out for a sec, okay?
I submitted an email.
You did. Okay. The mean was 79. That was pretty high. Normally I'm looking for at least a 75. Oh, gosh, sorry. Oh, did I? Uh-oh. What happened here? I don't. Are you sure I can put another one down on that person?
Yeah, I just got that.
Oh, do you have yours? Well, I
Not
can't
the
imagine
other
where it
one,
would
the
be.
941.
Huh?
No, I don't have the 941 part.
You've got the front, but not the 941.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk with the, I don't know where it would be. I keep things in folders.
Yeah, I got the, like, Kara, one of the.
Yeah, right, yeah, sorry. But I mean, I'm saying your 941 is in there. Okay, I'll just check with the class. Let me, I think what we'll do is I'll just entertain questions if you have specific ones that you want to go over. So take a couple minutes and look, and we'll visit anything that you need to.